You're listening to the Fan to Fan podcast, and today's episode is all about actor Reb Brown. You may remember him as
Punch Rock Groin,
Buck Plank Chest,
Stump Junkman,
Dirk Hardpeck,
Rip Steakface,
Slate Slab Rock,
Crud Bone Meal.
But before he became a big, brave brick of meat, he was Reb Brown, actor, football player, husband, and Best Lead Actor nominee. Actor Reb Brown contributed to Mystery Science Theater 3000 history as a star of Space Mutiny. The film was riffed by Mike and the Bots on the 19th episode of Season 8, which aired on November 8th, 1997. Since then, Space Mutiny has become one of the most popular MST3K episodes. It kicked off the 2013 Turkey Day Marathon. It was also chosen by fans to appear in the 2016 Turkey Day Marathon. But that legacy wouldn't be possible without the movie's leading man, Reb Brown. Reb Brown was born Robert Brown in Los Angeles, California on April 29, 1948. Brown played football at Temple City High School, and he also played football in 1967 for the University of Southern California, where he earned his Bachelor's of Arts degree. After being spotted by a talent scout in 1973, Brown played a supporting role in his first feature, yes, a bunch of S's. It's the 1973 horror film. He played a football player, of course, with severe anger issues. The movie's mad scientist unleashes a venomous snake against Brown while he's in the shower, and Brown was actually bitten by the snake on his foot, resulting in an understandable scream. In the same year, he played a small role in the TV series Owen Marshall, Counselor at Law, before finishing 1973 with a return to movies. Well, a TV movie, that is. He played a football player, of course, in The Girl Most Likely To, featuring Stockard Channing and Ed Eisner, based on a teleplay by Joan Rivers. Reb Brown stayed on the small screen from 1974 through 1979, playing everything from a police officer, a fraternity member, a lifeguard, and weightlifter in several Universal Studios produced television series such as Emergency, The $6 Million Man, Marcus Webley MD, Kolchak, The Night Stalker, Kojak, Chico and the Man, Fantasy Island, and The Rockford Files. He appeared in 3 episodes of Chips as Officer Brulette, and he was Rebel, a southern boy who has a fight with Ralph Malph in Happy Days. Brown received his next big break when he put on the mantle, or motorcycle helmet, of Marvel Comics' hero, Captain America.
Reb Brown, star in this high-flying action-adventure tale as America's greatest hero battles against overwhelming odds in Captain America.
In 2 1979 made-for-TV films, Captain America and Captain America 2, Death Too Soon, Brown played the Star-Spangled Avenger. The Incredible Hulk TV series, starring Bruce Bixby as David Banner and Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk, was doing very well for CBS, so they tapped into the superhero well by developing Captain America for the small screen. However, Marvel's reported per-episode asking price to license Captain America was too high, so CBS decided to produce 2 made-for-TV films. They cast Brown in his first lead role as Steve Rogers / Captain America. The script was written by Don Ingalls, who wrote for Star Trek, Have Gun Will Travel, and Fantasy Island, but rather than adapting the Marvel comic as is, Ingalls and director Ron Holcomb, who was an experienced TV director, they reworked the hero's origin by making him a nomadic ex-Marine, now an artist and a motorcycle enthusiast, driving around the California coastline in his van, whose dad was actually the original crime fighter known as Captain America. But when he is almost killed in an accident, Brown's Steve Rogers is saved by not a super soldier serum, but rather a super steroid named FLAG that stood for
Full Latent Ability Gain,
a serum created by his dad. The result is the same, a super strength, speed, and agility, and with the help of 2 government reps, Brown becomes Captain America, although his tights were more inspired by Evel Knievel than the classic comic costume. He daringly rides a motorcycle that flies out of the back of a van with the bulletproof shield firmly placed on the bike's front, but for safety reasons, the shield was plastic so Brown and the stunt riders could see through it, which isn't really very Evel Knievel at all. That first Captain America movie doesn't replicate the fun of the Incredible Hulk TV series, and while the pacing is slow and the origin build-up never really pays off, Brown doesn't have the charisma of Bixby or Ferrigno's physical presence. Brown plays Captain America as a laid-back artistic type. He doesn't rush into danger, and even when he gets a cool superbike that would make, well, that guy from Paper Chase jealous, Brown would rather be drawing on the beach than trading fists with the bad guys. But that doesn't stop Brown from donning the patriotic tights one more time. CBS was betting that Captain America would be well received, so they made a second TV film in the same year in 1979, titled Captain America 2, Death Too Soon. Reb Brown returned as the shield-wielding hero. This time around, they cast Christopher Lee as the wannabe Bond villain, General Miguel, and Connie Selica replaces one of the government liaisons. And Captain America gets a cat to join him on his still van-aided adventures. This time around, Captain America is more of an action hero. Brown gets to do some undercover work in a 2 sizes too small shirt. He gets to fight some henchmen. He drives his superbike into a bunch of boxes, and he even gets to throw the shield in true Captain America fashion, thanks in part to some creative and comical editing. Not that either film stands out, but Captain America 2, Death Too Soon, is by far superior to the first, and Brown benefits from the increase in comic book action. Brown hung up the superhero tights and worked on a few more now classic TV series. From 1979 to 82, he worked on Three's Company, Alice, The Facts of Life, The Love Boat, and Bosom Buddies. And in 1983, Reb Brown finally got his first leading role in a theatrical movie as Yor, the Hunter from the Future.
He is from a future world, trapped in another time, searching for his past. A hunter of incredible power and strength. He is the warrior known as Yor.
The sci-fi fantasy cult film was directed by Antonio Margheriti and was banking on the popularity of Star Wars and Conan the Barbarian, which had just been released a year earlier in 82. The movie, Yor the Hunter from the Future, was based on an Argentinian comic, and Brown stars as Yor, a wandering hunter who runs into rampaging monsters, primitive cave women, laser-shooting flying saucers, and, of course, an evil overlord named, well, Overlord. Brown visibly lost weight for his role, compared especially to his size in Captain America, and in a 2011 interview with Pulsing Cinema, he blamed it on the Turkish water. The film was nominated for 3 Golden Raspberry Awards in 83, one of them being for the worst new star in Reb Brown, which he won. Yor isn't a great film, but I'd argue that it's ready to riff in the same way as Warriors of the Wasteland, Outlaw of Gore, and Cave Dwellers, all movies shot in Italy or South America or Europe in empty landscapes that substituted well for a post-apocalyptic future. And all those films starred muscle-bound, dirty blonde, leading men outsiders like Reb Brown that, in hindsight, may have been cheesy, but they were ideal products of their time, no different than Dolph Lundgren, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Sylvester Stallone. I'll conclude my overview of actor Reb Brown's career in just a few seconds, but in the meantime, remember you can find the Fan to Fan podcast at www.fanpodcast.com. Facebook, just search Fan to Fan Podcast. That's FAN, the number 2, FAN, or on Twitter at Fan to Fan Podcast. I'd love to hear from you, so reach out, send the message, and let me know what you think of the show. Thanks.
And now, on with the show.
After Yor, Brown went to work on Uncommon Valor, where he played Blaster, a Vietnam vet who trains with other veterans in a POW rescue operation led by Gene Hackman. He was also in 1985's The Howling 2. But Brown portrayed a soldier again in 1986's Australian production of Death of a Soldier. The movie was based on a true story, and Brown plays Private Edward Leonsky, a confessed American serial killer who is defended by a military lawyer played by James Colburn. Brown received a nomination for Best Lead Actor in a Dramatic Role by the Australian Film Institute. It's a different kind of AFI. Although I'm sure the Australian Film Institute statue would have looked nice next to the Golden Raspberry Award, Brown lost to Colin Friels, who went on to play, of course, the memorable role of industrialist bad guy Louis Strack Jr. in 1990's Darkman. After a quick small-screen role in 1987 in a Miami Vice episode titled Viking Bikers from Hell, where he played a sociopathic biker, Reb Brown stars in 3 more movies before becoming a Mystery Science Theater 3K legend. He starred in Strike Commando, where he played Sergeant Michael Ransom, a soldier who returns to enemy territory to uncover a Russian operation. Then in 1988, he starred in Robo-War, where a group of soldiers, led by Brown, hunt a robot named Omega-1 in the jungle. Think Predator and RoboCop, with some lines of dialogue taken from Predator and RoboCop, and some scenes taken from Predator and RoboCop. So basically it's Predator and RoboCop, but nowhere near as good as Predator or RoboCop. Also, in 1988, Reb Brown stars in Mercenary Fighters, a movie where Brown plays, you guessed it, a veteran soldier that helps an African tribe. So 1988 was a busy year for Brown because he starred in yet another movie titled Space Mutiny.
What took you so long?
A 1988 South African sci-fi space adventure film directed by David Winters and Neil Sundstrom. Brown played Dave Ryder, a muscular pilot hero who saves the crew of the spaceship named the Southern Sun from the evil intentions of Elijah Calgon and his enforcers. The producers put their faith in Blast Hard Cheese and cashed in on Brown's cred as a, would-be action hero. He contributes to countless rail kills, is part of a chase scene featuring a bowling alley floor polisher, futuristic vehicle that can't seem to go over 5 miles an hour, but goes up in a glorious explosion. And he unleashes lots of primal yelling and bad guy beatings in full berserker beast mode throughout the asbestos warehouse that doubled as a spaceship. Lots of B's for what is now a bona fide MST3K B-movie hero. And least I forget, he also gets the girl. CeCe Cameron plays Dr. Leia Jansen, who succumbs to Brown's charm, on screen and in real life. In Space Mutiny, she plays Dave Ryder's love interest. And while she appears to be older than Brown, she is actually 6 years younger. Off-screen, they married. Well, before a single frame of Space Mutiny was even shot. Reb Brown and CeCe Cameron were married on September 8, 1979, almost a decade before they shot Space Mutiny. And it all makes sense. She'd acted in a number of late 70s and 80s shows like The Ted Knight Show, Love Boat, Alice and Three's Company, all shows that Brown had been on during his early acting career.
Let's get out there, kick some ass!
Asshole.
After Space Mutiny, Brown connected with Lou Ferrigno for 1989's brawny buddy action flick Cage, which got a sequel in 1999 titled Cage 2, The Arena of Death. In 1990, Reb Brown starred in Street Hunter as Logan Blade, a tough ex-police officer turned bounty hunter who has to confront a street gang. And in 1995, he was in an episode of Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, starring Kevin Sorbo. Reb Brown was in 2 other movies in the late 90s before taking an almost 15-year hiatus from acting. During that time, he was vice president of domestic distribution of Sun Classic Pictures. Sun was known for supernatural, quote-unquote, documentaries in the late 70s like Beyond and Back, In Search for Noah's Ark, and Chariots of the Gods. But after some research, it looks like Sun and Reb's position as VP was no longer after Sun was purchased by another production company. But, lucky for us, in 2013, Brown returns to movies, playing the part of Sheriff Joe Kelly in The Night Claws, a low-budget horror flick also featuring Frank Stallone that revolves around a small town terrorized by a killer Bigfoot. I also wanted to mention the Spoonie Experiment. It's an online review site where creator Noah Spoonie Antweiler dedicated the entire month of February back in 2014 to Reb Brown movies, thus Rebrary Brown History Month. The Spoonie reviews are on YouTube, and they are fun, quick ways of watching Brown's filmography if you don't want to watch the films. You get to see Reb's signature berserker rage yelling over and over again as he saves us from evil dictators, mercenary soldiers, rampaging cyborgs, and of course, the evil Calgon and his gang of space mutinying enforcers. Fortunately, our faithful Misty clan has thick skin and bad movie moxie, so a few so bad they're good movies are always on the to-watch list. Space Mutiny being near the top, thanks to the acting chops of Mr. Reb Brown.
Any similarity between persons living or dead, especially dead, is purely accidental. Yeah, very accidental. Like 1 in a million.
That's it for this episode. Tune in next time for more fan-to-fan conversations on the Fan-to-Fan podcast. Thanks for listening.
Her brain kept alive by experimental science, by a man whose abnormal passions inspired him to try the impossible.
I brought her back. She'll live and I'll get her another body.